Hey, what's up everybody? This is Tony with Lido Loca, trying to keep the energy high today. Made a video yesterday and people said you must still be suffering from jet lag from your Asia cruise. I am still suffering from jet lag from my Asia cruise, so I'm trying to keep it hyped up today. But man, I've been doing some research on the internet and I have a news story for you today that kind of blew my mind. Picture this: people getting jobs on cruise ships with the intention to come to the United States and desert the cruise ship and make a life in America. Look, I never would have even thought of this, but it's so prevalent that the U.S. Customs Border Patrol Agency has made new regulations to prevent cruise ship crew members from deserting their ship and trying to make a home in the U.S. It's an interesting story, something I want to share with you, but first I gotta roll the intro so you know who Lido Loca is. Welcome back. Did you watch the intro? It's super short. I hope you stuck through it. We are going to get to the meat and potatoes of the story, but if you're brand new here, welcome to the Loca fam. We give you all a big hug. Welcome you to the Loca fam. Lido Loca, here's the quick elevator speech. Lido Loca, we talk about all things cruising, cruise news, cruise tips. We do cruise vlogs, and we would invite you to be part of the family by subscribing with the notification bell on. So let's get back to the story. So this is a thing. Earlier this month, the MSC Meraviglia made its first stop in New York City. It was on October the 7th, and there were some crew members on board that got met with a shock. They had planned to get off in New York City, but when they went to leave in New York City, they had a letter on the wall that said, look, if you haven't had at least 6 contracts with MSC Cruise Lines and you're not from the United States or Canada, you are not allowed to get off the cruise ship. Now that's a head scratcher. U.S. Customs Border Patrol Agency put new regulations in place at the Port of New York, which basically restricted which crew members could get off in New York, putting this 6 contract requirement on all cruise ships docking in New York. And it comes on the heels of a September where you had 7 crew members from different cruise ships not go back to the cruise ship. They basically deserted the cruise ship there in the Port of New York and went out into New York to make a life in America. It's so prevalent that a change had to be made, and I don't know if the change wasn't well communicated, but there were crew members on that MSC ship that were basically shocked that they couldn't get off of the cruise line. Again, this is the first I'd ever heard of it, but it's not a new story. I did some digging on the internet, and there are several stories on the Customs Border Patrol Agency's website that talk about capturing deserted cruise ship crew members. I'll give you a couple stories. Quick check, how's the energy level? I hope I'm feeling pretty good. I am still dealing with jet lag. Like, it's 10 o'clock on a Saturday and I've been awake since 2 a.m. But I'm trying to stay awake the whole day so I can sleep a normal hour because, look, we're just 7 days from going on another cruise and I can't do this, be awake all night, sleep during the day. It is making me tired. So quick energy check. Hit the thumbs up if the energy is good. And here's a few more examples of cruise ship deserters. This first story goes back to 2017 in the port of Mobile, Alabama. 3 Indonesian crew members on the Carnival Fantasy. They went off when the Fantasy docked in Mobile for supposedly a day at port, and they never came back. That was in June of 2017, and they were apprehended in August of 2017. So they spent close to 2 months on the lam where they were supposed to be back on the cruise ship. They were making a new home in the United States. And there's another example from 2018. An Albanian crew member exited a cruise ship in New Orleans back in 2018 and was gone for about a week before they were apprehended trying to board a train in Atlanta, Georgia. And in what is a very extreme example, there is an example in Seattle of this year where a crew member was apprehended in 2019 after they exited a cruise ship back in 2015. So 4 years after they left the cruise ship, they were apprehended. So there is a constant effort going on to track down these folks that get off the cruise ship and stay without authorization. It's kind of mind-blowing. I know that the United States is one of those places where a lot of people want to come and start a life. Like I've said it before, not necessarily in this form on this YouTube channel, I feel extremely lucky to have been born in the United States. There is a level of opportunity that exists here that doesn't necessarily exist in other parts of the world. So I definitely understand why the United States is one of those places where people will do almost anything to come here and to start a life and to work on the opportunity that this country provides. But it's one of those things where you have to strike the balance. Laws are in place for a reason, and legal immigration is one of those things that teeters with every political cycle. What's the right way to handle immigration? But sneaking in on a cruise ship is definitely not the way to do it, and there are a lot of resources that are put forward to track down individuals that desert their cruise ship and try to set up shop here in the United States. This was never on my radar, so I was super surprised to hear about this story, and it's interesting to see now that they're putting more regulation in place for crew members to make sure that they are solid with the cruise line, that they've completed multiple cruise contracts before they'll allow them to get off in the port of New York. That's an interesting thing. I couldn't imagine, say I come from another part of the world, going to New York City is probably a big deal. But it would be weird to be on the ship and not be able to get off because I haven't done enough contracts. But, you know, it's up to the Customs and Border Protection Agency to protect the border. And they feel that this policy is one way to do it. Cruise ship deserters, I didn't even know it was a thing. Let's continue the conversation below. Let's try to be respectful. I know that immigration is a hot button item. Not here to start a big political debate, but did you know about cruise ship deserters? It's a wild prospect, and again, it kind of shows you that the American dream lives beyond this borders. That people want to come here and make a new life, and so it challenges us as a nation of immigrants to figure out ways to continue to be inviting to people that want that opportunity, at the same time balancing the laws and security of the country. Something to think about, a little more heady than normal on the cruising channel, but I would invite you to come back and watch another video, hit that like button, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for dropping in for the news. This is Tony with Lido Loca. I'm awake, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido.